wow, we're made out of paper.
That's correct. In this animation, we're doing it in the style that it was created in. Paper.
Oh yeah, stop motion. So we haven't even talked about stop motion before, so I'm here today with Pikapetey, who should have been on this show by like episode 2.
Hi.
Okay, so let me see. And I'm gonna edit a bunch of this out too, so that'll be...
Oh, what? No, this would be an interesting Kibble Scribble.
Oh, great. Okay.
Behind the scenes for your Patreon supporters.
So, actually, I was gonna have Pikapetey on to talk about 2D animation, and, well, he's done everything. He's done 3D, 2D, and then I saw that he posted this stop-motion animation, and I had been going to talk about this movie called Kubo and the Two Strings, but everybody's already seen that, and nobody's seen this, so I thought this would be a neat thing to feature on the show.
I've never done a stop-motion animation before, and I've always wanted to do one. And for the audience that don't know what stop motion is, it's basically where you have a whole bunch of objects or clay or sculpted pieces or paper, and you move each one a frame at a time and you take a picture of it with your normal camera. This particular one, I used a webcam and I just used screen grab on my computer because I couldn't capture it any other way.
2D animation, you just have a series of drawings and you put them all together. With stop motion, it's a series of photographs. And then, yeah, you photograph like real objects. But the one thing, because my brother used to be really into doing stop motion, one of the problems you come up with against is if you have a camera that keeps automatically changing like the lighting settings and all that, all of your photos will be different brightnesses and then it goes together and it kind of looks messy. So I'm guessing that you just have a nice webcam that doesn't do that to you.
Yes, I downloaded the firmware to disable all of that.
Oh, okay, perfect. Because some of them won't let you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you did the stop motion animation and it looks great. Were you really expecting it to turn out as good as it did?
Actually, that's the beautiful thing about stop motion animation. There is no playback until you complete it. So when you're making like a 2D animation in Flash, as you draw out your rough scenes, you can play it back and see it. As you're making a 3D animation, you can play it back and see how it is and work with it. Stop motion, it's literally you just go. And you have to shoot frame 1, then frame 2, then frame 3, then frame 4, then frame 5, and you really don't know how it's gonna look until you do the final edit in composite, and it turned out great. It was very surprising.
I think one of my favorite parts of this animation that you did is you cut out the character, you cut out the raccoon, and you peel it off of the sheet, but somehow you managed to take the pictures and it just turns out really smooth. It looks like you're tearing it out of the sheet. How did you set that shot up?
The very first shot that you see with the camera overhead, that was all done in one take. And then we readjusted the lighting and set up the camera, and I had an idea of tearing off the character by his back skin, and I came up with that idea midway through shooting, so I quickly redrew a couple of frames at the end with me holding on to him. We set up the camera, and and I moved the camera and then hit frame capture, then moved my hand and camera again and hit frame capture. And my hand was actually really tiring because that shot took about a half hour to create. So I'm holding my hand above the table in that position as I work with the other hand to capture all the frames.
When you watch it, it feels like it maybe took 10 minutes or so, or maybe 5, where you go into a new pose and then you press the button to take a picture. Then you move your hand a little bit more and press the button to take a picture.
It was supposed to take 10 minutes. However, when I cut out the raccoon with an X-Acto blade knife, my initial cutting of the scene wasn't perfect, so there was times I had to go back in and try to cut more of the paper out so he would actually peel off from the page.
That's an example of things that kind of didn't go the way you expected, so you had to go back and do it again. Was there anything else like that?
Not really, because I didn't have a plan to it. I just animated the raccoon on paper. Actually, there's one thing that didn't go to plan. I ran out of markers the midway through, if you watch the animation, the raccoon will change his color. He goes from like a gray to kind of like a brownish color, and that's because I ran out of the gray marker. Luckily enough, I had it in a shot where the transition's not too obvious, but it still occurs within the same shooting. So you can see his color changes. So if you're gonna do stop motion on paper, always make sure you have an extra of that color marker that you're gonna use.
I didn't even notice that. And then what about the part where you're holding the lighter and there's fire, and then you're holding the character above that? Was there any difficulty doing that one?
Oh no, I just put the flame in front of the paper.
It would be funny if it had accidentally caught on fire. Like, wait, no!
Well, then the ending would have been a lot different.
I mean, as animators, we spend so much time in front of the computer. How did it feel to actually be dealing with paper again and with these real objects?
It felt very liberating, because with animation on the computer, because it's an experimental element and you can have the instant play feedback to it and you have the Control Z, you can fiddle with your animation as much as you want. And that's a good thing for experimenting, but not necessarily a good thing for getting stuff done. On paper, you just gotta go. Since I was drawing with paper and inking with Sharpie markers, if I made a mistake, there was no Control Z. I had to work within my mistake. And that's where I think where Roasted Raccoon came along, because each time first I did like a little bouncing ball thing, and then I had him talk, and then I had him fight a pencil. So each step I was taking, I was doing something a little bit more complex. And I actually got more done in a shorter amount of time than I would have on the computer.
Are you thinking you might do any more stop motion once in a while, just for fun?
Oh yes, I work as an animator during my day job, so all day I'm staring at a computer screen. And then when I come home and I do digital animation at night, it's more staring at a computer screen. At least my eyes get a break, and it feels a lot more organic, if that's the word.
Yeah, I understand the organic, because you go in with a basic idea and then you just start making stuff and kind of see where it goes. And sometimes you start with an end in mind, sometimes you start with just the idea, but either way, you're just kind of forced to go and make stuff.
Yes.
How do we end this thing? We're stuck on the papers. Oh my gosh, how do I get out of here? You brought me into this, dang it.
Well, since I'm animating you, I can make you say goofy stuff.
No. Let's burn everything. Burn it all.
Burn! Yes!
We're burning! We could have sold these drawings.
Oh my god!
Okay, so yeah, that should be good. I think I can stop recording now.
Alrighty.
Wow, I'm made out of paper.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.